You're listening to Southampton's Voice FM. My name is Zan, and welcome to Arts and Culture. Now, the complete works of William Shakespeare Abridged is considered a worldwide comic phenomenon and is going on tour in an updated and reinvented rollercoaster ride through all 37 of the Bard's plays. This April, it arrives at Mayflower Studios as part of this major UK tour, and here to tell us more is Tom Pavey, who is making his professional debut. Tom, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Zan. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm very good. Yeah. It's a lovely day, so I'm happy and excited to be here.
And also being paid for doing what you love. That must feel fantastic.
Yes, totally. Yeah. I mean, it's as you mentioned, it's professional debut. Yeah, I've done a couple of bits and bobs here and there, and I've sort of been up to Fringe a couple of times. But to be able to tour the UK, doing yeah, as you say, what I love, making people laugh, is just absolutely fantastic. Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it.
And is it living up to your manifestation? Are the theatres as exciting as you thought they would be? Are the audience as thrilled as you thought they would be?
Yeah, it's quite hard to predict. We sort of had about 3.5 weeks of rehearsal time, so it's quite hard to predict how audiences are going to react, right? So when we've been sort of going through it, you get used to the script, you get familiar to the script, and as with any comedy, it's very heavily relying on like how an audience is going to respond. But everyone so far has been absolutely fantastic. Audiences have been loving it. They've been laughing like non-stop throughout, which just is tick marks for us because we were like, oh, will this work? Will this not work? And there's obviously, I don't want to spoil the show, but like there's some parts where obviously we get a bit closer to the audience. There's some sort of back and forward with the audience, maybe. So in rehearsal, it was hard to predict how that was going to work, but it's been turning out absolutely brilliantly. Like everyone's loved it. Yeah.
Well, that back and forth is actually very Shakespearean. It's something that a lot of people don't realize that Shakespeare wasn't necessarily revered as this fantastic global phenomenon.
Yeah.
It was theatre for the people. It was definitely jokes that most people would get.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently with obviously it was, as you say, theatre for the people. So it was like, extremely cheap to go and stand in Shakespeare's Globe during, when Shakespeare was putting his plays on. And that sort of interactiveness, the sort of I think I was reading recently that like, they had to repeat a lot of stuff on stage just because the audience was so rowdy and they were like laughing so much or jeering so much. So that, just in case anyone missed a key plot point, they'd have to be like, yeah, we're going to say this part again, just so that people can understand. And there'd be lots of chatting back and forward between actors and audience members. So I think we're trying to capture that. We try and capture that in the show as well, kind of thing. That sort of, it's an homage to that part of the experience. Yeah, definitely.
So, do you need to be a fan of Shakespeare's work to enjoy this?
We get this question quite a lot.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. And you don't need to be a Shakespeare fan at all. In fact, I may not even consider myself a Shakespeare fan, being in the show. But it's definitely it's definitely switched me onto Shakespeare 100%. And you don't need to have a love of Shakespeare's work. Indeed, I'd say. If you do love Shakespeare, it's great because it's an homage to all of his work in one night. If you don't love Shakespeare, it's great because, we get through all of Shakespeare's work in one night. So it's basically this chaotic tribute to people who love Shakespeare and people who hate Shakespeare as well. You don't need to have a knowledge of all of the plays. We do that job for you, basically. Yeah, it's great.
Well, there are 37 plays. So do they naturally form a line, a sort of chronological line that you can understand, or is this more like Pulp Fiction where you're going forward and backwards and you really don't actually know where you are?
I'd say yeah. The comparison to Pulp Fiction is quite a good one. It's we don't do them in chronological order. They're done as some of them are done as sort of mismatches and like mashups. Um, some of them we do obviously as sort of sketches that are kind of relevant today, sorry. And that's, I think, the best way of sort of talking about it is it's almost got the atmosphere of a sketch show, really, that we sort of are like, okay, what's the best way that we three actors, because we sort of play three actors who are able to, or who think that they can put on all of Shakespeare's shows in one night. We're sort of like, what's the best way that we can get this chaotic lump of loads of different stories across in like, under 90 minutes. And so yeah, it comes out as this mashup, like non-chronological, sometimes non-logical kind of like mess. But there's a very neat thread that goes through the whole show in terms of like, okay, we're going to start with, doing some of the tragedies, and then we're going to dip into the comedies. And then actually we'll return to the tragedies because actually, we think that the tragedies are way funnier than the comedies kind of thing. So there's a narrative of us three actors trying to put on this one singular show. But in terms of like whether we do them in any kind of release order or chronological order, then no, there's not really a running theme. But yeah.
Well, there's one thing about Shakespeare that everyone realizes: he had a great turn of phrase and came up with some wonderful lines that have stood the test of time, and people deliver here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
While preparing for this, I did actually try and find an interesting quote that sort of was relevant to watching something. I'll do that in a minute, but I was wondering if have you got a quote from Shakespeare that you always like to bring forward as a great example of his work?
Yeah, so I love the Shakespearean insults. I think they're brilliant. And actually, my uncle bought me a set of these badges with Shakespearean insults on for Christmas a couple of years ago, which was brilliant. And so there's some like "Thou art a boil" or "Thou smell of mountain goat." Which I sort of proudly wear, and I think they're just great because you could it's sort of like subtly insulting insulting someone just by wearing these badges. But I think Shakespearean insults are great, and they're super characterful and colourful. Yeah, they're probably my favorite.
Well, the one I picked out was from Julius Caesar, and "For the eye sees not itself." And I thought that was a fantastic line when I don't remember it.
Mhm.
I did Julius Caesar when I was at school, and I don't remember
Yeah,
that line at all.
yeah.
But
It
it's
doesn't make
brilliant.
it. It doesn't make it into our show, I'm afraid. We sort of cherry pick some of the most iconic lines, I think, from Shakespeare. So, you know, audiences will be familiar with, to be or not to be,
Mhm.
possibly. Yeah, that may be in there, may not be. But yeah, sort of Romeo. There's some Romeo and Juliet classics in there.
Yes, well, it probably explains why I didn't really get on with Shakespeare, maybe. But this sounds like great fun. Well, Tom Pavey, thank you very much for speaking to us about this. The complete works of Shakespeare, complete works of William Shakespeare Abridged, forgive me, Mayflower Studios from the 15th to the 18th of April. And as we like to say here, Tom, break a leg.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Sam, for having me. That's great. Thank you.
Voice. Let's go. Voice FM.